Rio Ferdinand drops bombshell. Man United's two biggest transfer mistakes that changed everything. Welcome back to United News, the voice you can trust when it comes to Manchester United. For years, we have been bringing you the stories that matter, the analysis that counts, and the insider knowledge that helps you understand what is really happening at Old Trafford. When former players speak out about the club we all love, when legends share their honest opinions about where things went wrong, this is where you come to get the full story. Today, we have one of the most eye-opening revelations from a United legend that will make you think about how different things could have been. The statement that shook Manchester United fans. Imagine if someone told you that Manchester United could have avoided years of struggle, disappointment, and mediocrity with just two signings. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, that is exactly what Rio Ferdinand believes, and his reasoning might surprise you. The former United captain has made a bold claim that has sent shockwaves through the United community. Speaking on his podcast, Rio Ferdinand Meets, alongside Michael Owen, Ferdinand stated that Manchester United's failure to sign Harry Kane and Declan Rice was the biggest mistake the club has made in the last decade. But this is not just another pundit giving his opinion. This is Rio Ferdinand, a player who knows what it takes to win at the highest level. A defender who was part of United's most successful teams. A leader who understands the mentality needed to compete for trophies. When Ferdinand speaks about United, people listen. And what he said about these two missed signings will make every United fan wonder what could have been. The Harry Kane situation that still haunts United. Let us start with Harry Kane, the striker who has become one of the most lethal goal scorers in world football. When Kane was available for transfer, Manchester United had the chance to bring him to Old Trafford. Instead, they watched him move to Bayern Munich, where he has been absolutely sensational. Ferdinand believes that not signing Kane was United's biggest transfer mistake in 10 years. Think about that for a moment. In a decade filled with questionable signings and missed opportunities, Ferdinand thinks missing out on Kane tops them all. The numbers back up Ferdinand's claim in a big way. Since joining Bayern Munich, Kane has scored an incredible 91 goals in just 100 games. That is almost a goal per game at the highest level of football. In the Bundesliga specifically, he has 65 goals in 65 matches. These are the kind of numbers that win titles and change the direction of football clubs. But here is what makes Ferdinand's point even more painful for United fans. While Kane was scoring goals for fun in Germany, United were struggling to find someone who could finish chances consistently. The difference between what Kane achieved and what United strikers produced during the same period tells the whole story. Ferdinand did not hold back when explaining his thoughts on the Kane situation. He said that if United had been willing to pay the money that Tottenham wanted, they could have signed him. The suggestion is that United missed out on Kane because they were not willing to meet the asking price, which ultimately proved to be a massive mistake. Can you imagine how different things might have been if Kane had been wearing the red shirt of Manchester United instead of the red shirt of Bayern Munich? Those 91 goals could have been scored at Old Trafford, helping United climb back up the table and compete for trophies. The Declan Rice factor that could have changed everything. Harry Kane was not the only player that Ferdinand mentioned as a missed opportunity. He also highlighted Declan Rice as someone United should have signed when they had the chance. Rice has established himself as one of the best midfielders in the Premier League during his time at West Ham and now Arsenal. He brings exactly the kind of leadership, work rate, and quality that Manchester United have been missing in their midfield. Ferdinand sees Rice as more than just a good player. He believes Rice is the type of character who can drive an environment and set standards that other players follow. This is exactly what United have been missing since the departure of players like Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, and Ferdinand himself. The former United captain explained his thinking by saying that both Kane and Rice are players who drive an environment. They are leaders who make everyone around them better. They set standards in training, they demand excellence from their teammates, and they never accept mediocrity. This is what United have been lacking. They have signed talented players over the years, but they have not always signed the right characters. Ferdinand believes that Kane and Rice would have brought the mentality and leadership that could have prevented United's decline. Think about it from Ferdinand's perspective. He played alongside players like Roy Keane, who demanded excellence every single day. He knows what it feels like to be in a dressing room where standards are set by strong characters who refuse to accept anything less than the best. Ferdinand sees Kane and Rice as modern versions of those types of leaders. Players who could have changed the entire culture at Manchester United and put them back on the path to success. The Ruben Amorim factor and current expectations. Ferdinand's comments come at a particularly interesting time for Manchester United. The club is now under the management of Ruben Amorim, who took charge in November and is hoping to turn things around after United's worst ever Premier League finish of 15th place last season. Amorim is the sixth permanent manager that United have had since Sir Alex Ferguson retired 12 years ago. That statistic alone shows just how much the club has struggled to find stability and direction during this period. The Portuguese manager has been given significant backing in the transfer market, with United spending over £200 million this summer alone. Much of that money has been spent on attacking players like Benjamin Sesko, Matheus Cunha, and Brian Bumo, as the club tries to solve their goal-scoring problems. But Ferdinand's point about Kane and Rice suggests that United might have been able to solve their problems much more effectively with just two smart signings instead of constantly trying to fix things with multiple expensive purchases. Amorim will be under pressure to deliver results this season. After spending so much money and bringing in his own players, there will be few excuses if United do not at least challenge for a top-4 finish and a return to Champions League football. The question that Ferdinand's comments raise is whether Amorim will be able to achieve with his new signings what Kane and Rice could have achieved if they had been signed when they were available. The Rasmus Højlund comparison that tells the whole story. To understand just how big a mistake missing out on Kane was, we need to look at what United did instead. In the same summer that Kane joined Bayern Munich for a fee that eventually reached €110 million, United signed Rasmus Højlund from Atlanta. Højlund cost United an initial £64 million, making him one of the most expensive signings in the club's history. The young Danish striker was supposed to be the long-term solution to United's goal-scoring problems. However, the reality has been very different from what United hoped for. Højlund has managed just 26 goals in 95 games for United, numbers that are nowhere near what Kane has produced for Bayern Munich. The situation became so concerning that United have now loaned Højlund to Napoli for the season, with the Italian club having an option to make the move permanent for £38 million if he impresses. When you factor in the £5 million loan fee that Napoli are paying, United are looking at a potential loss of around £21 million on a player they signed just 2 years ago. This comparison perfectly illustrates Ferdinand's point about missing out on Kane. While Kane has been scoring almost a goal per game for Bayern Munich, United's alternative has struggled to make an impact and might be sold at a significant loss. The difference in output between Kane and Højlund is staggering. Kane's 91 goals in 100 games for Bayern compared to Højlund's 26 goals in 95 games for United tells you everything you need to know about the impact that signing Kane could have had. Ferdinand asks a very simple question. Where would United be now if they had Kane's goals in their ranks? The answer seems obvious. They would not be in the mess they find themselves in today. The spending spree that could have been avoided. One of the most damaging aspects of United's failure to sign Kane is what it has led to in terms of their transfer spending. Since Kane moved to Bayern Munich, United have spent an incredible £315.7 million on forwards as they have desperately tried to solve their goal-scoring problems. Let that number sink in for a moment. Over £315 million spent on attacking players, and United still do not have a reliable goal-scorer who can match what Kane has been doing for Bayern Munich. This shows the ripple effect that missing out on one key signing can have. Instead of spending €110 million on Kane and having their striker position sorted for years, United have had to keep buying player after player, hoping that one of them will finally solve the problem. The list of forwards that United have signed since missing out on Kane is quite remarkable. From Højlund to Sesko to Cunha to Bumo, the club has kept throwing money at the problem without finding a definitive solution. Ferdinand's point becomes even more powerful when you consider this context. If United had been willing to pay the money for Kane when he was available, they could have avoided years of expensive mistakes and constant searching for the right striker. This is what good clubs do. They identify the best available player for a position and pay whatever it takes to get him. United's failure to do this with Kane has cost them far more in the long run than Kane's original asking price ever would have. the leadership vacuum that Kane and Rice could have filled. Beyond the goals and the performances, Ferdinand makes another crucial point about Kane and Rice. He believes these players would have provided the kind of leadership and environment setting that United have been desperately missing. When you look at United's most successful teams under Sir Alex Ferguson, they were always built around strong characters who set the tone for everyone else. Players like Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, and Ferdinand himself were not just great players, they were leaders who demanded excellence from their teammates. Since these players retired, United have struggled to find similar characters who can drive standards and create a winning mentality throughout the squad. This leadership vacuum has been one of the biggest problems facing the club during their years of decline. Ferdinand sees Kane and Rice as players who could have filled this vacuum. Both players have shown throughout their careers that they are natural leaders who make everyone around them better. They are the type of characters who refuse to accept mediocrity and constantly push their teammates to improve. Kane's record as England captain shows his leadership qualities on an international level. He has led his country to major tournament finals and has always taken responsibility in the biggest moments. This is exactly the kind of mentality that United have been missing. Rice has shown similar leadership qualities during his time at West Ham and now Arsenal. He is a player who leads by example, working harder than anyone else and never giving up even when things are going badly. These are the characteristics that United need in their midfield. Ferdinand believes that having both Kane and Rice at the club would have created a completely different environment. Instead of a culture where standards slip and mediocrity is accepted, these players would have created a culture of excellence where every player is pushed to perform at their best. The domino effect of missing key signings. What makes Ferdinand's analysis so compelling is how he shows the domino effect that missing out on Kane and Rice has had on the entire club. When you miss out on key signings like this, it does not just affect one position or one area of the team. It affects everything. Missing out on Kane meant that United had to keep searching for a striker, spending huge amounts of money on players who have not worked out. This has limited their ability to strengthen other areas of the squad and has created a constant state of uncertainty about who will score the goals. Missing out on Rice meant that United's midfield has lacked the kind of leadership and steel that every successful team needs. Without a player like Rice setting standards and driving others forward, the entire team has suffered from a lack of direction and mentality. Ferdinand's point is that these two signings would have solved multiple problems at once. Kane would have provided the goals and the leadership in attack. Rice would have provided the foundation and leadership in midfield. Together, they would have created a spine for the team that could have prevented the decline that followed. This is why Ferdinand is so convinced that United would be in a completely different place today if they had signed these two players. It is not just about individual quality, it is about how the right players can transform an entire club's culture and mentality. The failure to sign Kane and Rice represents more than just missing out on good players. It represents a failure in vision and decision-making that has had consequences far beyond what anyone could have imagined at the time. Learning from past mistakes under new management. Ferdinand's comments come at a crucial time for Manchester United as they try to rebuild under Ruben Amorim. The new manager has the opportunity to learn from the mistakes of the past and make sure that similar errors are not repeated in the future. The lesson from the Kane and Rice situation is clear. When top-class players become available, you have to be willing to pay whatever it takes to get them. Trying to save money on transfers often ends up costing much more in the long run. Amorim will need to identify his key targets and make sure that the club backs him fully when it comes to pursuing them. Half measures and compromise signings have not worked for United in recent years. They need to go after the very best players and pay top dollar to get them. The manager will also need to prioritize character and leadership when making signings. Technical ability is important, but Ferdinand's analysis shows that having the right mentality and leadership qualities can be just as crucial for success. Looking ahead, United cannot afford to make similar mistakes to the ones Ferdinand has identified. If players like Kane and Rice become available again, the club must be prepared to act decisively and pay whatever it takes to secure their services. The broader context of United's transfer strategy. Ferdinand's criticism of United's failure to sign Kane and Rice fits into a broader pattern of questionable decision-making in the transfer market over the past decade. The club has often chosen cheaper alternatives or younger prospects instead of established stars who could have made an immediate impact. This approach might make sense from a financial perspective in the short term, but Ferdinand's analysis shows how it can be much more expensive in the long run. By trying to save money on individual transfers, United have ended up spending far more overall while achieving worse results. The club's recruitment strategy has also suffered from a lack of clear vision and consistency. Different managers have wanted different types of players, leading to a squad that lacks coherence and balance. Kane and Rice would have been signings that any manager could have built a team around. Ferdinand's comments suggest that United need to be more decisive and ambitious in their approach to transfers. Instead of looking for bargains or potential, they should focus on signing proven winners who can make an immediate impact and set standards for others to follow. This does not mean that United should ignore young players or development opportunities. However, it does mean that they should not use youth and potential as an excuse to avoid signing established stars when they become available. The international success factor. Both Kane and Rice have proven themselves at international level, which adds another dimension to Ferdinand's argument. Kane is England's all-time leading goalscorer and has captained his country to major tournament finals. Rice has become a key player for England and one of the most respected midfielders in the international game. This international success shows that both players can perform under pressure in the biggest moments. They have experience of handling expectation and delivering when it matters most. These are exactly the qualities that United have been missing in recent years. Ferdinand understands the importance of international experience because he lived it during his own playing career. He knows how much it means to have players in your squad who have proven themselves on the biggest stages and who can handle the pressure that comes with playing for a club like Manchester United. The fact that both Kane and Rice have been successful with England also shows that they have the right mentality to succeed at the highest level. They are not just talented players. They are winners who know what it takes to perform when everything is on the line. This international pedigree would have been invaluable for United during their struggles in recent years. Having players who have experienced success and know how to win can make a huge difference to the mentality of an entire squad. Fan reactions and community response. Ferdinand's comments have generated significant discussion among Manchester United fans, with many agreeing with his assessment while others debate whether the club could realistically have signed both players. Social media has been full of United supporters expressing their frustration at missing out on Kane and Rice, with many pointing to the subsequent struggles in attack and midfield as evidence that Ferdinand is right. Some fans have questioned whether Tottenham would ever have sold Kane to Manchester United given the rivalry between the clubs. However, Ferdinand's suggestion is that United could have got the deal done if they had been willing to pay the right price. The discussion has also highlighted the broader frustration among United fans about the club's transfer strategy in recent years. Many supporters feel that the club has consistently missed out on the best available players by being too cautious or trying to find cheaper alternatives. Ferdinand's status as a club legend means that his opinions carry significant weight with United fans. When someone who achieved so much success at the club speaks out about transfer mistakes, people listen and take notice. The reaction from the fan community suggests that many United supporters share Ferdinand's view that missing out on Kane and Rice was a massive mistake that has had lasting consequences for the club. The statistical evidence that backs up Ferdinand's claims. The numbers strongly support Ferdinand's argument about United missing out on Kane and Rice. Kane's goal-scoring record for Bayern Munich speaks for itself, while Rice's performances for Arsenal have shown exactly what United have been missing in midfield. Kane's 91 goals in 100 games for Bayern is an extraordinary record that few strikers in world football can match. When you compare this to the output of United strikers during the same period, the difference is stark and painful for United fans to see. Rice's impact at Arsenal has been equally impressive, with the midfielder helping to transform the club into title contenders. His leadership, work rate, and technical ability have made Arsenal a much stronger team, exactly the kind of impact he could have had at United. The financial numbers also support Ferdinand's case. United have spent over £315 million on forwards since missing out on Kane, showing how expensive it can be to keep searching for solutions instead of signing the right player initially. These statistics prove that Ferdinand's claims are not just based on opinion or sentiment. The evidence clearly shows that Kane and Rice have been exactly the types of players that could have transformed United's fortunes if the club had been willing to sign them. Looking forward, can United learn from these mistakes? As United continue to rebuild under Ruben Amorim, Ferdinand's analysis provides valuable lessons for the future. The club must learn from their past mistakes and ensure that they do not miss out on similar opportunities again. The key lesson is that sometimes you have to spend big money to get the right players. Trying to find cheaper alternatives or taking punts on potential can end up being much more expensive in the long run if those players do not work out. United also need to prioritize character and leadership when making signings. Ferdinand's point about Kane and Rice driving an environment shows how important it is to sign players who can set standards and demand excellence from their teammates. The club's new ownership structure and management team provide an opportunity to implement a more effective transfer strategy. They must be prepared to act decisively when top-class players become available and not let financial considerations prevent them from signing the best possible players. Most importantly, United must learn to take a long-term view of their transfer strategy. Short-term thinking and compromise signings have not worked in recent years. They need to focus on signing players who can make a lasting impact and help the club return to the top of English and European football. Final thoughts from United News. Rio Ferdinand's comments about Harry Kane and Declan Rice represent one of the most honest and insightful analyses of Manchester United's transfer mistakes in recent years. As a club legend who knows what it takes to succeed at the highest level, Ferdinand's opinions carry significant weight and deserve serious consideration. The statistical evidence strongly supports Ferdinand's claims. Kane's incredible goal-scoring record for Bayern Munich and Rice's impact at Arsenal show exactly what United have been missing. The fact that United have spent over £315 million on forwards since missing out on Kane only strengthens Ferdinand's argument. Perhaps most importantly, Ferdinand's analysis goes beyond just individual quality to highlight the leadership and mentality that Kane and Rice could have brought to United. In a squad that has often lacked direction and strong characters, these players could have provided the foundation for a return to success. For current manager Ruben Amorim, Ferdinand's comments provide valuable lessons about the importance of signing the right players at the right time. The club cannot afford to make similar mistakes in the future if they want to return to competing for trophies. At United News, we believe in bringing you the complete picture of what is happening at Manchester United. Ferdinand's analysis provides crucial insights into where the club has gone wrong and how they can do better in the future. This is exactly why United News remains your most trusted source for Manchester United coverage. We do not just report the news, we provide the context and analysis that helps you understand what it all means for the club we love. Whether you agree with Ferdinand's assessment or not, his comments have started an important conversation about United's transfer strategy and the mistakes that have contributed to their recent struggles. As fans, we can only hope that the club learns from these errors and makes better decisions in the future. Stay with United News for all the latest Manchester United coverage, honest analysis, and expert opinions from the people who know the club best. Because when it comes to understanding what is really happening at Old Trafford, there is no better place to get the full story.